welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about the second half of the books that I read last year. So in total I read 19 books, 10 of which I talked about in the last video, and the rest I will be discussing today. So let's start. So the 11th book that I read was The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, and it's the only novel written by him. I actually had a description in mind to tell you about, but I'm really afraid that I'd spoil it for you. So I would really recommend you to read this one for yourself. I love this book. I mean, it has become one of my absolute favorite books. And the next book that I read was The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. And this book's genre is the same as that of The Picture of Dorian Gray. The book is about Dr. Jekyll, who invents a new potion which transforms him into an entirely different person, Mr. Hyde, who is an extremely evil person and whom Dr. Jekyll absolutely despises. I love this book. I would really recommend you to read this one. And the next book that I read was Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. It's a young adult book and is about this young American girl, Anna, who moves to a boarding school in Paris. And if you're looking for an easy to read, a feel-good book, then this is the book. Do read it. I loved it. I read a young adult book after maybe 3 or 4 years. Absolutely loved it. So highly recommend it for a light read. And the next book that I read was this book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And this book is, one of those books that change your life. So in this book, the author discusses that how we have two minds, a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And this conscious mind is objective while the subconscious mind is subjective, and whatever your conscious mind feeds to your subconscious mind, it does so. So basically he argues that you can actually change your life just by changing the way you think and just by working on your thought process. And so with the help of our subconscious mind, we can achieve anything and everything in life, only if we know how to use its power. So I would highly recommend you to read this one. It has helped me in so many ways, and I hope it helps you too. So do read it. And the next book that I read was As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And in this book, the author basically shows that how one can take control of their life only by working positively on their thought process. And I consider this book to be a shorter version of this one. So but I would obviously prefer this one more because this one is a very short and brief account of the same logic. And the next book that I read was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. It's a comedy science fiction and I absolutely loved it. Such a fun, hilarious read. So I would highly recommend you to read this one. And the next book that I read was In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park, a North Korean defector. And this book is basically about the author's childhood spent in North Korea and her tragic escape to South Korea, though a very heartbreaking but an extremely powerful read. So if you want to educate yourself on this matter, I would highly recommend you to read this one. The next book that I read was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It's one of my favorite books and I read it basically first in 2017. I love this book so much and I really believe that every single woman should read this book. I consider it a very important read for women. And as the author herself said once that her books are never to educate people, but this one is an exception. I would highly recommend you to read this one. And my final read was another book by Frederick Backman, A Man Called Ove, and I guess it's pronounced as Ove in Swedish, so I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. The book is about this old man, Ove, who after losing his beloved wife loses his will to live as well, and thus he tries to commit suicide, but then certain things keep happening which makes him postpone his plan of ending his life. As you would expect Backman's book to be, it's a very emotional and heartwarming book. Honestly, I did not enjoy it as much as I had enjoyed Bear Town by Frederick Backman, but that is, I guess, because of the long time that I read this book in. I read it in, I guess, 3 to 4 months, which is a very long time to read one book. But once I finished it, I actually did miss it. So I would really recommend you to read this one as well. And these are all the books that I read in last year. I did start this book, A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, but unfortunately I did not manage to finish it in 2020. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Bye.